Welcome back. We are so excited to have an amazing guest here today, Laura Khouri. She is the president of Western National Property Management. She is a Multifamily Innovation Council member, as well as a Women's Summit speaker, and she will be our keynote this year. We are so excited to have you here today, Laura.
Absolutely my pleasure, Lauren. Thank you for inviting me.
Of course. And so what got you into multifamily?
I fell into it. I answered a 3-line ad in the local newspaper in 1985. The internet hadn't been invented yet, right? And so the way that you found jobs was, through the classified ads. And I answered the ad, I got an interview, and I was hired 20 minutes into it as a Gal Friday. That was my job title. Right? I know they don't have those anymore.
What is that?
It was a fancy name for gopher, file clerk, just do whatever is asked of me. You go to the bank, you make deposits, you type a letter on an IBM Selectric typewriter, right? And if you want copies, you had to put carbon paper in. If you made a mistake, God help you. And so that was what I was hired to do, was a Gal Friday. I was working for the office manager, and 3 months into my employment, the secretary, because that's what they were called in those days, was let go for the then president, and he decided he wanted me. And he called me Linda for the next 3 months. I just answered to anything,
Yes.
And I was his secretary. Fast forward, I don't know, about a year or so, and I become the office manager, right? And I'm the worst boss you could ever imagine. I've got 3 people. I've got no leadership experience, and I've got the mail clerk, and I've got the receptionist, right? And I've got the I think the loan payment gal, right, was working for me. And so, long and short of it, I've had a lot of people help me along the way, a lot of mentors. I didn't recognize it at the time, but I became a vice president in 1996 over operations. And so I come from the inside out of property management, corporate office, that sort of a thing. And then took on all kinds of responsibilities, human resources, risk management, created the risk management department originally because it didn't exist back then.
Right.
We were a small firm at the time. We had about 5,000 units, about maybe 500 people, maybe. And today we've grown to about 1,000 people and 23,000 units all in. But again, I fell into it, and everything I learned on the job. Sought education when I needed to, right? And sometimes in your career, when you're with a company for so long, and in case you were calculating, that'd be 39 years.
I have that written.
You have to stop and reflect, and if your path is going down a path that you're not happy with, you go out and you get extra education. And I did that in California, and I'm sure it is with every state, but you have to become a broker if you want to manage for third parties and that sort of thing. And I had applied for a position that I didn't get internally, and that just propelled me to go out and get my education. And of course today, companies utilizing my broker's license, right? Never knew that at the time.
Wow.
But I became the president in 2010, and that was after running our multifamily ancillary division where we sold renters insurance. I've been an insurance agent. We did utility billing. So I've had this expansive experience with Western. And again, I fell into it. But it wasn't until later on in my career that I was exposed to all these different people, these different ways of leadership. And I am a product of bad bosses, right? I just know that I was not going to do what was done to me, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely. That's how we learn, isn't it?
Yes.
It's true. Yes. I mean, we're all just kind of fumbling our way through trying to, we talked about this. I did the same thing. I jumped around HR training. Where do I fit? What's my skill set? And that's how we learn.
Yes.
It's just trial and error.
It is. And what I loved best about that career climb was the HR, the training, the risk management, the dealing with people.
Yeah.
We have a joke, if it weren't for people, we wouldn't have any problems, right? But working with people was probably the best blessing I've ever had at Western.
Yeah. And obviously you're probably a mentor to many now, I would imagine, because having been given mentorship, which to me in my career, that was the best thing that could have happened, was somebody to mentor me through a lot of that. I think you are the perfect person to be mentoring people. So do you mentor people?
I do.
Yes. And
I do, and I think it is incumbent upon any leader that has gained any type of status, even as you're starting out, if you have that first title or that first responsibility, that it is important that you impart that wisdom on anyone who wants to learn. You can't do it for everybody because they don't.
Right.
But yes, my door is always open to whoever wants to come in and mentor with me. We'll take an hour, that kind of a thing. And our CEO does the same thing. We mentor all of the officers, and again, the mentoring is not you need to do it this way. Mentoring is about asking questions. So how do you see it? What do you think is the right thing to do?
It's so funny you say that.
It is. I know that nobody really wants to talk about the pandemic anymore. We're kind of done with that. But it was during the pandemic that the mentorship really came out for us. We're all segregated. We are an essential business. I have my site teams out there, and how do you stay connected to them, right? I started sending out a daily email to each and every one of them, right? And it started out with, here's the new eviction moratorium law, for Ventura County, and here's the one for Santa Ana, and here's the frequently asked questions that we have now uploaded on our intranet. But then after a while, there was no more legislation to talk about, and that's when I discovered memes. I didn't know what a meme was before 2020. I didn't know.
Yeah.
And then every day for 587 days, I sent out an email to the entire team about life, about here are funny memes, and they were all like themed, right?
Yeah.
It was great because what happened was the team members, all the way down to our entry-level porters, would email me back about what I said, that sort of a thing. The CEO, Mike Kate, who also happens to be my husband, right, wasn't about to be undone, and he would send out a daily video to everybody. He would go search in the internet and find videos, and he's kind of an old rock and roller, right?
Yeah.
Love that kind of a thing. And so that's how we kept our culture and still mentored with people, even though it was through Zoom, but that's how we kept our culture.
That's incredible. I mean, I think a lot of people had to get creative at that time. Really. I mean, you think about it, we talk about this a lot where we're very successful. Our companies are very successful, so we haven't really felt the need to necessarily innovate very much until you're forced to.
Yes.
And COVID was the perfect example of that, right? For the pandemic, everybody's kind of scrambling to innovate all of a sudden because we have to. So one of the things I like about your company is that you guys seem very innovative already without having to have a pandemic to be able to make those changes. You're part of the council, and you're also attending the summits this year, which is amazing. So what innovations is Western National Property Management doing that you're excited about?
So I think we have three major strategies for this year. The first is that we're actually replacing our LMS. So we've had a learning management system in place for a while, and it's grown antiquated and hasn't kept up with our needs. And so we're literally going to flip that switch next week on a new system, which is more intuitive and much easier to utilize. I'm trying to think. I can't recall the exact number, but something close to 20,000 classes a year between all of our associates and what they take. It can be live. It could be online learning at their own pace. It could be via Teams or Zoom for orientation. It depends. But we've got all those modalities in this new system. So that's a big deal because that requires collaboration from, I can't tell you how many departments are working on that. It's a team effort, group effort.
Absolutely.
The next thing that we are working on is the fact that we are actually rebranding our image.
Yay!
Western's been around for 65 years, and while we're proud of that number, you hear that number and you go, wow, you're really old. You're old. Thank God the company is older than I am. But we've had a very conservative look, and you could always count on it, and now it's time to take a fresh look at that.
Yeah.
Right? Because we have grown with the times, but you can't tell by our website. So we're working on that. It'll come out probably in the next maybe 30 days or so. That's another one that requires a ton of collaboration between all departments to represent them and what they want to share with everyone.
I low-key really want to be in that room. I love rebrands. get all excited about it.
Yes, yes. And we've got, we have colors. They're like a Pantone 34 blue and, and a gray. And I'm like, no, no, no. There's no reason we can't utilize colors like these and, get a little bit imaginative. And
Maybe we'll be your inspiration.
you are absolutely my inspiration, right?
Well, feel free to run it by me because this is
I will.
totally my thing. I love it.
I will.
Well, amazing. And being part of the council too, do you feel like there's a lot of innovations that you bring to your team or that you're kind of getting out of that you're bringing back to your group?
Right now, because I'm fairly new to the council, I love sitting back and watching others. Again, as a mature organization, we've been through some of this.
Yeah.
I never want to come across as, I know what I'm doing and you don't, right? So I just listen to the dialogue and what's being said, and I'll pop in if I feel I can be helpful.
Yeah.
Having said that, though, what I've taken back, and I don't see it on the board, but it was the norm storm reform. We were talking about it a couple of weeks ago, and if I've misquoted, I apologize. But I'm writing it down, furiously. And I love that. I love about hearing what other people are doing, right? And because you know what? You take a little bit from everyone that you meet and make it your own.
That's totally right. And every company is different.
Yes.
And we respect that. We own that, and we pick the pieces that work for us, and we breeze by the pieces that don't. I love that. And so you are now also going to be our keynote at the Women's Summit this year.
Yeah,
so very excited.
Yes.
What are you going to be talking about, or what gets you excited about being a part of the Women's Summit this year?
So I said earlier that when I first learned about this, I didn't know that it existed. And since that time, I actually attended a women's conference just a couple of weeks ago. What I loved about it was the energy and the vibe in the room, and I just didn't know that existed. But for this particular one, not only am I honored to be presenting a keynote, but again, it goes back to when you reach a certain level to impart what you've learned on others who want to learn it. Yeah. And I'm happy to share that story. And that story is full of a ton of stumbles and falls and mistakes and embarrassments. And I think people can relate to someone who's vulnerable and willing to say, yeah, I totally screwed up. I was the worst boss ever back in 1987. You would not have wanted to work for me. Because what I think makes people want more out of their lives is to see what other people have done and to say, oh, wow, they're human. That we're all human. We all make mistakes. And you know what? There's hope for all of us. So
I love that. Yeah. What, if you don't mind me asking, what are some of those mistakes that you've learned from, like, as a leader or rising leaders right now? What would they want to hear that maybe learn from mistakes you've made or wins you've had?
I think when the first ones I've ever made, and it's so old, and every single person in the company knows this, 3 months into my employment. So back in 1985, there's no orientation period, there's no pre-employment testing, there's no HR department, there's nothing, right? And it was the Friday before 4th of July weekend, and the boyfriend I was seeing dumped me. And you know what? I had nothing to do, and so for Friday lunch, I took 2 other girls, and we went around the corner to the little 7-Eleven, and we bought ourselves a 4-pack of Bartles and James. And I don't think they sell that anymore. Little wine spritzers is what that was. And so for lunch, we each had one. We just had a liquid lunch, and we came back to the office, and we had one left over. And at break time later in the afternoon, we didn't want to drink it in the break room because we didn't have to share with everybody. Right. So we took it in the bathroom, the ladies' restroom, and in walks a regional manager at the time, and she said, and we said, oh boy, okay, would you like some? And she said, no. In my day, it used to be Ripple. We had no idea what that was. Well, she leaves, and she goes and she tells my boss that the girls are drinking in the bathroom during working hours on a Friday afternoon before 4th of July weekend. My other boss was the office manager. She was on vacation. She came back 2 weeks later, and we immediately get called into her office at 8:30 in the morning, and we got grilled. Why were you drinking on the job? I'm like, okay, I didn't know we couldn't, And later that day, a memo was typed up and put on everyone's desk. Remember, no internet, so nothing coming in the inbox, right? And I am responsible for the no alcohol policy at our company.
How hilarious.
I am. Who knew? Now, I survived that. And that's the whole point of the story. Okay, I made a mistake. I was 24 years old. Who knew? It was a little embarrassing. but I lived through it.
Yeah.
And if it's okay to accept what you do as mistakes, you're going to be fine. Sometimes we can't live with that embarrassment. We want to be the victim. No, I did that one all by myself. And here I am today to tell you the story. So that was one of the first mistakes, public mistakes I ever made.
Yeah. I love that. Well, you don't think about it. You might think, hey, it's lunch. I'm on my break, right? I can have, a glass of wine. I can't. I'm a lightweight. If I have one glass of wine, everybody knows.
Everybody knows.
But if you can do that normally, so that's hilarious first and foremost. But thank you for sharing that with us because
you're
just
welcome.
what a great story.
Thank you. But it's stumbling along the way and making mistakes, and if you learn from them, and you're not afraid to talk about them to other people, right?
Yeah.
I think that helps others learn. They're always going to have to go through their own experiences, but I think it's good to know that other people make mistakes too, and they survive it.
Yeah. You said something really compelling earlier that made me think you're just an amazing leader. And you probably don't even know you said it, but the best boss I ever had, I came into her office. I was her assistant at the time. I had a problem, and I brought it to her. But I didn't bring her solutions or optional, options. And she just looked at me, like just blank stare. And I thought, like the scene in Pirates of the Caribbean when he paints eyes on his eyes, and he's actually asleep, and you don't really know. You're like, hello, are you there? Yes. She did that to me. She just blank stared at me. Yes. And I kind of panicked, and I just started solutioning live in front of her. I was like, well, I guess I could do this, or I could do this, or I could, okay. And I came up with my own solution. Mm-hmm. And I walked out of her office, and I was like, that was intentional. That was 100% intentional. And you had said, what do you think we should do? Mm-hmm. And you're immediately handing someone back their power and saying, if you're going to be a leader, you're going to have to take it a little bit further and come up with some possible solutions and then bring that to the group, right?
Yes.
It's so smart.
So in multifamily, we live vicariously through what happens on site. And we could all write a book about the goings on and the problems and the issues and the catastrophes that come up. With my team, I am not a micromanager. They know that one of the first rules of thumb, it's a cardinal rule. If it's fire, flood, or blood, they just report it. They don't have to have the solution. They don't have to have, what happened. If it's going to be newsworthy, if media is going to show up. We just have to know at the executive committee level, right? Mm-hmm. And then I give them the opportunity to say, okay, what are you going to do about it? Right? I know I have the answers. I know them. I've been through that. I've had that position. But it's up to them to figure it out. And they come to me, and my job is to provide them the resources of what they need, not to give them the answers. There are times when the toughest questions, the hardest situations, they come all the way up, and you have to decide what to do. But for the most part, my team is so capable. They know what to do. They've got it handled. I try not to second guess them. Yeah. And so yes, it's about asking questions and listening as opposed to just giving directives.
That is such a breath of fresh air. I've worked a lot of different places where, that micromanagement doesn't serve a lot of people. It doesn't serve anyone, really. It's stressful for the managers to feel like they need to be that on top of their people.
Yes.
And it's stressful for the people to feel like they have to adhere to exactly what that person wants and needs, right?
Yes.
So it's like, it's not really serving anybody. And you hired them for a reason. You've screened them. Yep. You saw potential.
Yes.
So let them fly a little, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We have participated in mystery shopping for years and years and years. And our mystery shopping company, I get a copy of all of the on-site shops in my inbox. So of the 300 emails I get a day, that's one of them. Mm-hmm. And when I have an on-site staff member that hits a score of 100 or more, because you can earn bonus points, right? Yeah. I reach out to them and them alone. I don't copy anybody. And I just say, this is so outstanding. Congratulations, Lauren. I'm so proud of you. Keep it up, right? And I think that goes a long way when you're trying to do, and you do it right, that someone actually says thank you and you're doing a good job. Right?
There's that personal touch, that personal message.
Right. And we forget that because sometimes we're so busy doing. We don't stop and say, thank you. That was terrific.
I love that. That's wonderful. Well, again, great mentorship opportunities. You're going to get probably 100 DMs. Hey, can you be my mentor, please? On that note, a lot of our listeners always want to know if they're newer in their career, what do you think it takes to really is ask for those opportunities that present themselves or to level up in that way?
And it's ironic you use the word level up because the keynote is climbing that ladder of success wearing 4-inch heels, right? And leveling up to that next step, one of the first things that we'll talk about is you've got to show up. And you have to show up in a manner that people are expecting you to, right? Showing up means you actually do dress the part.
Yeah.
You are on time, right? You do more listening than you do talking, right? We have a saying at work that says, oh, they radiated with brilliance, meaning they just went, blah, 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 right? And they didn't say a word and they didn't answer the question. Right?
Yeah.
But initial steps in the career are just watch, look, and listen, right? How much can you learn and absorb from those around you? You're already looking around to say, oh, I like that trait of that person, and I want to get to know that person a little bit more. Now, you have to have a basic skill set to do the job, but what I'm talking about are the soft skills that get you noticed. You volunteer for everything, and there are plenty of ways to volunteer, whether it's a committee because we're piloting a new program, or whether it's a volunteer committee for a charity after hours. Those are the first steps that you would take to level up when you're starting out in your career, and you latch on to someone who you think can sponsor you and get you where you need to go.
Yeah. I love that. And I think that those human skills are going to be so important in the future when we're talking about things like AI, automation, all these things coming in, right?
Yes.
Human skills are going to be the new value for everybody, right?
Yes.
The ability, and when you think about even our site teams, they're the ones that are interacting with the residents in their home on a daily basis. So I've heard a lot of people say that is the first thing I look for. I barely even glance at the resume until I've seen that person can read a room, can tell when the resident comes in who maybe doesn't want to be spoken to, just wants to go about their business. But then the residents that want to sit there and chat for an hour, there's both.
Yes.
We've all been on site. We know how that works. The ability to read people and have those skills it's just beyond important in our industry.
It absolutely is. In our training, new orientation training, we actually teach our leasing consultants how to be a leasing consultant. They go through intensive training, leasing 101, leasing 102. A big portion of that training is that initial connection. How do you connect with that person that you don't know anything about? How do you read? What do you look for? Where are the micro expressions? What's their body language saying? And we teach them how to do that and make that connection, because I think that people live where they feel most comfortable. It's not necessarily price. It's not necessarily location. It's like what Maya Angelou once said, right? People don't remember what you said or what you did, but they will remember how you made them feel. And that's what our training does, is really connect with that resident. Now, there is a sect of a generation out there that would rather just lease online and not talk to anybody. We get that,
100%.
right? So how we respond to that is be very responsive in email or text or DM or whatever the case, however they want to communicate with us, that's their way of connecting. But we teach all of those different methods.
That's smart too, because you're listening. They're telling you how they like to be spoken
Exactly.
to. It's the best thing you can do. I'm going through some leadership coaching right now, and they're saying that's exactly what they say. It's just tell people how you like to be communicated with. It's very simple. Don't make them guess.
It's okay to, stand up for yourself, right?
I prefer to be texted, or I like to just be stopped when I'm walking by. I mean, everybody has a preference, right? So, really smart. So, what are you excited with in the future for Western? What's kind of on the forefront? What's on the horizon? What keeps you excited?
So we are in expansion mode right now, and moving to other states where we've got agreements, penciling agreements, and that sort of a thing. And that's what that means for us is we are not going to be the biggest and the baddest. We're not going to do that. We're not going to be the smallest either. But we have created a culture where it's all about the job, right? It's all about wanting to come to work because you know you're appreciated and that what you do contributes to the overall success of the company. So in that, and it's slow expansion. Anytime you do fast expansion, it doesn't necessarily work. We don't want to make those mistakes, right?
Yeah.
So that's all part of the rebranding. and the opportunity for our team in the field. We have a program that our Vice President of Training and Marketing created. It's called LEAD, and basically it's teaching our community managers the next step and how to become efficient leaders, to get to know everyone in the corporate office. And so when they take that next step, they've already got a leg up, as it were. That's really what's on. We've got some always looking at new innovations, no doubt about that, and software programs and that sort of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But for us, this expansion just means more jobs, and we didn't lay anybody off during the pandemic. No one.
I'm giving a round of applause for that one. That's incredible.
We kept, and obviously, we people left by attrition, and they moved out of state or whatever.
Right.
But I had committed to them. I think it was on March 20th that I'm going to do everything I can to save your jobs, and we did.
Wow.
And having done that now, it's like, okay, people have the opportunity now to expand and learn and grow. So that's what we're doing.
That's amazing. Longevity.
Yes.
What a concept.
I know.
I mean, amazing. And how secure for your associates to just have that feeling of they've got my back. I'm not expendable.
Yes.
I mean, that you can't pay for that kind of security.
No, right? You can't.
Yeah.
You can't. In fact, and there are people who leave us only because, well, not only, but let's just say that they want more in a career. So they will go to a competitor where they might just level up immediately into a new position. Mm-hmm. And we don't have those positions because people stay with us. And it's that tenure that can kind of be that double-edged sword because everyone loves what they're doing. And so the only way for new opportunities is to expand, bring on more clients, move into different states, that sort of a thing.
And so now you're doing that.
Yes.
For just that purpose. I love that. It's listening, and it's listening to your people and what they need and trying to hold on to them and keep them around, which is just really amazing. Truly how to value someone.
Yes.
is to show them how you can help them grow.
Definitely.
Amazing. Well, we're very excited to have you at the summit, to have you as a keynote this year. Is there anything else you want to leave our audience with as just a...
Well, if I had anything at all, I would encourage everyone out there to sign up for the Multifamily Women's Leadership Conference. I'm super excited to be there and bringing a team with me. Having said that, there's so much to learn, and one of the things that you can never stop learning and doing is connecting with others. Mm-hmm. And this gives you an opportunity to do both, right? To create those connections, those lifetime relationships. And so that's what I'd like to say. Please come.
I can't wait. I'm so excited. I'm excited for everybody attending who's going to come up to you and say, please mentor me. It might be me. Just kidding.
Anytime, honey. Anytime.
It's definitely going to be me. I'm not going to lie. I just think you've had an impressive career. You have an impressive career, and you've accomplished so much. And I'm just excited to see what else you do.
Thank you so much. And so, I've made a new friend today.
I know. I mean, I feel like I know you. I've known you for years. That's how this industry works, though, isn't it?
It is.
So where can people find out more about Western, and if they want to work with you, those pieces?
Okay, well, you can find us at wng.com, and mine is one of two email addresses on the website, so I'm directly there, or WMPMapartments.com, so that'll showcase all the apartments that we have right now, and so that's where they can find us. Also, they can find us at ducksliving.com. That's our recent strategic partnership with the NHL and the Anaheim Ducks hockey team.
Okay. I was about to end the podcast, but now I need to understand. What is this? What is this?
So the Anaheim Ducks approached us last year and said, listen, the NHL is allowing us to partner with people and put their logo on our Ducks jersey. And are you interested in doing that? Wow. We thought, well, yes, but nobody knows our W. You look at our W, who's that, right?
Yeah.
Except that what we had the opportunity to do was create a website and a whole marketing campaign and strategy around Ducks Living, where you pop on ducksliving.com and it goes to all of our apartment communities. And you can rent an apartment through Ducks Living and you get all kinds of Ducks swag, right? The Anaheim Ducks fans are wonderful fans and they are crazy, but you get, things like a $300 gift card that buys you a jersey jersey and that sort of a thing. But the cool thing about that, in fact, we were just on late night. Keenan had a jersey and was showing our W, and so that we just posted that one on our social media. But but here's the real deal. So during the first period, we are able to showcase in the arena our communities. The other thing too is this partnership created for us the ability to give away roughly $100,000 a year to a charitable organization of our choice.
Wow.
So between the Ducks and Western National, last year we actually accumulated through the wins and that sort of a thing, $100,000. We gave it to Laura's House, which is a domestic violence agency in South County. It's an amazing thing. So it's a 3-year contract. And it's a great marketing strategy. We get leases through it. I mean, it's wonderful.
Everybody needs to do this.
They do.
Everybody needs to do this.
Yes.
This is when we talk about being creative. We talk about location. Yeah, this is location.
It is. We know the actual demographic of those fans who attend, and if you've ever been to a hockey game, there's so much fun. And we actually had our company kick off this year in the arena. We were able to rent out the arena just for us.
Wow.
And we had a couple of teams, and Wild Wing, who's the mascot for the Ducks, they were there. But we love the partnership that we've got with the Anaheim Ducks, and they're so creative, and they too are very innovative. And we've just had a wonderful time. So we have 2 more years of that, and we're focused on that as well.
Okay, that's one of the coolest stories I've heard all week. Man, your marketing, I'm a big fan.
Thank you.
Big fan. You guys are doing incredible things.
Thank you so much.
We're very excited to have you at the summit. We were so happy to have you here today.
Yes, thank you. We'll see you then.
Of course.
Okay.
And thank you all for listening. Get your tickets for the Women's Summit at multifamilywomen.com, and we will see you on the next episode.